This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new live Pick 8. Sign up with promo code GOLFSGPN to claim your first special pick, plus your first time deposit bonus up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code GOLFSGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN. All right, D-Gens, welcome back. It's your boy, Austin Capper with the God of Golf self, Steve Schirmer. We're going to do a little U.S. Open recap and some Travelers talk with our special guest, CP. Chris Powers, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, boys? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Then we rescheduled so you could watch your Rangers lose, so I know you appreciated that.
I do. I mean, in retrospect, I should have just done it that night, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I was trying to equate it to you like a bunch of sports too, and there is no sad like hockey sad.
I
don't know how.
That's an excellent point. You can finish it if you want, but I could not agree more. Actually, now that you say it,
yeah, it's just soul crushing, and it's so fast, and you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. Like, yeah, I think playoff hockey is legitimately taking years off my life.
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, well, speaking of soul crushing, let's move into the U.S. Open. CP, congratulations on your Bryson ticket at my expense. Down the back nine. Then when Rory got up 2, did you start losing faith then that Bryson?
Oh my God, you're talking soul crushing. My soul was ripped out of my body when he got up by 2. I was like, it's over. I said to my wife, we were driving to my parents for Father's Day. And I was literally getting gas. I had my phone on driving, the most dangerous thing you can do, but I was watching the coverage, obviously. And he makes another one. I guess it was we had 3 birdies on 9, 10, 11. And can we curse on this show?
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yep, go right.
I was like, this fucking guy has not made a fucking putt the last 10 fucking years, and now everything's falling. So I was in your boat. I was done. It was over. It's so hard to make birdies on that course in those conditions. So if Rory just doesn't shit his pants, there's no chance of Bryson coming back. And fortunately for me, Rory shit his pants. That was brutal to watch. As you know, I know people think I'm a Rory hater, but and I obviously was a Rory hater on Sunday, but that was really, really difficult to watch. I was, of course, celebrating very, very loudly at my parents' house, but no, I was dead. I was ripping up the ticket, dead and buried when he dropped another bomb. I guess it was on 12. I think it was.
Yep.
Brutal.
Yeah. So the other end of the spectrum. So I was down at my parents' cottage with my kids. We were all in the living room, and my 4-year-old, who's starting to like golf, every time the ball goes in the hole, she says the guy won. So Rory starts making a bunch of birdies, bunch of bombs, everything like that. And she starts, yelling, she won it. I'm going nuts too. I'm having a couple of beers as well.
Of course.
But that was the first time my kids have seen me lose an outright in pretty hideous fashion. I try to shield them from every time that happens. But afterwards, I ended up just going to the end of my parents' dock and just looking out the lake, kind of like what Rory did probably on the plane, looking out the window. After that, that was an all-time.
That was a tough watch. Yeah, Chris said it right. It was a tough watch. I didn't have a dog in the fight. Steve, you had Rory. Cam had Bryson. So it was an interesting group chat dynamic where you're not trying to mush either one of them. Yeah. And you know me, like I've come around on Rory ever since Monahan completely fucked him. But my God, dude, like he was so tight on that. Not even on 18. Was it 16? He missed the other one.
Yep.
I could feel how tight he was. And then on 18, I was sitting in my living room. Everybody came over and cooked and shit. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I had a smile on my face. I was like, this guy's gonna miss this fucking putt, isn't he? And he missed the fucking putt. I was like, unbelievable, Rory. And then he still wasn't dead because Bryson was in fucking jail on the route. And then like that up and down.
The way they originally showed the camera angle was like, oh, he's totally fine, perfect lie, wedge on, and then they cut back and he's got no swing. And the root is like, I mean, I love the suspense, and that was one of the great entertainment value back nines in a while, but that was some very interesting camera work, to say the least.
And Bryson, I mean, we've always ripped on him with some of the short game issues because of the single length irons. And, we've been saying on the show, we never trust Bryson out of a bunker. And for him to get up and down from 50 yards with his irons there, that was the cherry on top there. Well, so I was thinking back, though, to trying to because we live in the moment with, everything that happens in golf. And I was trying to think back the last 20 years. Where does this collapse kind of fit? So I thought of a couple ones, and I'll run it by you. If Rory's collapse is probably worse than any of these. So I'll start right at the top. Any of Dustin Johnson's implosions. So you got 2010 Pebble where he shot 82. You got 2010 PGA where you again penalized, and then 2015 missing the putt.
The putt. I think DJ's was more painful.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, you could argue Pebble is an all-time collapse shooting 82, but then you could also argue just shit got really weird and he got off the rails early and he could never get it back on the tracks. Chambers Bay one, yes, that was, I don't know, this one was pretty shocking because it did feel like he really seized the moment, and it was like, all right, 10 years of futility, I'm taking this one, all the putts are finally dropping, and then in a matter of, to go from 8 under on 15T to 5 under, finishing up, that one, I said it in the moment, it felt Van de Veldian, but obviously Van de Velde was, he made whatever 7 it was on the final hole. I don't know. It's you're right. It's recency bias. Those Dustin ones were so brutal. Mito, obviously, a couple years.
Oh God, that's on the list too. That was shocking. When that happened.
That was one of the worst golf swings in the history of any level of golfer. One of the worst golf swings ever made.
Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously, you got Phil Mickelson melting down in Winged Foot in 2006. Colin Montgomery also melted down.
Yes, he did.
That one's not actually talked about, but he was right in the middle of the fairway, and we all know he was so close for years to winning, and he just dumps it, I think, in the bunker of the rough there short. One of the worst shots you can hit on the pressure there. Couple ones I thought of, too, that are a little under the radar, but they were pretty bad. So there's in 2011, Duffner blows a 5-shot lead with 4 to go at the Atlanta Athletic Club.
That's a good one.
And then I
definitely forgotten.
And then this one, Adam Scott bogeys the last 4 at the 2012 Open. I think that one's worse than Rory because that was before Adam Scott actually won a major, and the books actually refunded all the bets. For Adam Scott.
God.
Did they really?
Yeah, down in all the Australian books. Any Australian basically bet on Adam Scott. They no-actioned the bets.
Oh my God.
So I think that's what we're talking about with level there. And then 2016 Spieth, the Masters.
Yeah, of course.
No.
Yeah,
what about Molinari?
2019, that's also on the list too. But I mean, we all got so much, but we got the happy ending with Tiger though.
I guess so. That would really suck because I was happy for Tiger, but that's what I was playing DFS a lot, and I was like very, very green with Molinari, and then I had the outright ticket on him, and then just his soul left his fucking body, and I was miserable.
Yeah, I think you and I were the only ones rooting against Tiger that morning. I had Koepka, I had Xander. I think I had like 4 guys who were kind of close to the lead. And did not have.
I mean, we got to mention Rory's in 2011 as well. That's
yeah, absolutely too. So yeah, when we went to the Masters, I showed Capper the cabin that he hit it into. It was way closer to the tee box than I remember. So that was a wicked snap hook there.
Yep.
So all right, so let's shift it over to Bryson though. So second major for him. Was he 30 years old? I mean, it's we like overreacting to again guys in the moment, but over under 3.5 majors for Bryson in his career.
How old is he?
Or you think he's done? I think he's about 30.
Is he 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3.5 is a good number.
It's a great number.
Okay. Go higher or lower on that?
I do think he gets a Masters
I think he gets a PGA.
Yeah, for sure he gets a PGA. So yeah, I'll say over. I think he gets a Masters, and PGA is a great call. I don't think he gets a Claret.
Okay.
Open. No.
I mean, I mean, they're playing Oakmont next year, and I'm interested to see what the Gil Hanse changes are to it.
Yep.
But from what I remember in 2016, firm fairways, thick rough, really slick greens. I mean, a lot of wing foot, I feel like, in that golf course. So repeated next year too.
He played in that one too. I remember.
He did. You're right. Yeah. How do you do that with that?
I thought he did. Like, he maybe got off to a decent start, and I can't remember exactly what he did, but probably a miscut.
All right, and then last thing. So Pinehurst is going to be an anchor site. What do you think about Pinehurst and what it showed this week? A little bit polarizing. Some people really like it. Some people don't. What's your thoughts about Pinehurst as a U.S. Open venue?
I think polarizing is good. So I think, it's great. I can't wait till they go back. I know some people had some legitimate gripes about, Rory on 5, his ball kind of, but we talked about it on our pod. I mean, I thought our Luke Curtinine, Golf Digest Luke Curtinine, made a great point. It's like, that's the defense of that 5th hole, that par 5. It's an easy par 5 for them, 2-shotter. So the only defense is the ball coming off the green in the manner it did. Yep. And I also argued, like, how do you do that? How do you hit that shot in that moment? Maybe, it was a great shot. It got very unlucky, but maybe it wasn't the right shot. Maybe the right shot is just go up the right side, chip it on, give yourself a look at birdie. Instead, he tries to hit the perfect shot. It rolls off. He makes bogey. Similar thing happened on 15. You cannot go over the green on 15. What does Rory do? He goes over the green on 15. Maybe he should have hit 1 club less. Maybe he should have accounted for adrenaline. So I know people had some gripes about certain shots. I think that's great for a U.S. Open. I think the U.S. Open, it's 1 week a year where we say, listen, you're going to get screwed. You got to reset, take a deep breath, and get the hell over it. Once a year, fuck with their brain a little. Even if you think it's a clown convention, a circus course, I think it's okay one time a year. So like you said, very polarizing, but entertainment factor, that's kind of what we're going for here. Bryson's been talking about this. And that was as entertaining as the U.S. Open has been in a very long time. So I'm all for it. I know it's crazy overpriced. I've heard too. It's not that exciting of a course. If you're going to pay a bunch of money to go play it, it's not that memorable, but it challenges these guys and it's made for a great Sunday. So I say, I can't wait for it to get back.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right, because these guys get caught when they play these fucking birdie tests so many weeks out of the year where it's we got John Deere coming up in 2-3 weeks, like courses like that. Like, come on, like, and there's more like that than there are like Pinehurst. So, I just think it sucks that we have the Travelers this week. Like, we don't barely get to digest it. And I know. To pretend to be excited about an elevated event, like, and coming off something like that, like, and last year, like we talked about before we got on the pod, Steve was fucking 23 under last year. You said I didn't even remember it was that fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was really soft, and I think these guys just kind of decided we're going to start hitting driver pretty much everywhere at the course, and maybe that's a good transition to the Travelers here. So, speaking of which,
real quick, real quick, fucking so what? Willie Mays just died.
Whoa,
that's
all right.
Yeah. R.I.P. Willie Mays, man. He had to be like 93, 94, right?
Yeah. Well, he was just in the news. I think they were doing some Negro League, game or whatever, and he said he couldn't go. So that's
man. What? Obviously, I'm not even old enough to have seen him play. But those YouTube clips are fucking amazing. Well, he was a great ambassador for the game of baseball. So R.I.P. Willie Mays, and the Panthers cannot close.
Yeah, like they're about to die. They're about to die too.
Like myself. That was a bad goal.
All right. Well, moving on to the Travelers, we was talking about how Rory called the golf course obsolete. 23 under, ended up winning, just giant birdie fest. Right. They ended up making some changes to the golf course this year. Mainly, they tightened up a couple fairways. They added some mounds off of the fairway as well. They moved, I think, the tee box on 9, so guys just can't bomb it over the trees like they did last year. CP, did that change a little bit of what you're looking for as far as golfers you want this week, or do you still think, they can make a couple of these changes, but it's really not going to change all that much? These guys are just too good now, and they probably are just going to overrun it again.
Yeah, I would say they're probably just going to overrun it again. And that's just kind of the course it is. It's a, birdie fest type of course. They want it to be exciting late. They want birdies to happen late. I don't see this, 12 under or higher, whatever you want to call it, winning. I still see high teens. Hopefully not too crazy in the 20s. No, it didn't. Like Capper said before, it's tough come down after last week. I can't say I'm really, really excited for this week and have dove in all the way. I've made a few bets thanks to Bryson, a couple funny money bets. So I'm just I'm going to Myrtle Beach on a bachelor party this weekend. So I'll be kind of watching from afar, so to speak, with a couple guys that I just kind of fired away on Monday morning because I thought the odds were a little crazy.
Yep. How many courses you playing down in Myrtle?
Just 2. We're playing one of them twice. Oh my God, it's 3-0.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, we're playing Whispering Pines twice.
Nice.
TPC.
Have you been to Myrtle before?
No, first time. So I'm very excited for that.
It's an interesting place.
It's gonna get weird.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's definitely a trashy beach town. It's like you're gonna see some creatures. It's it's an interesting spot to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of depressing that we really only have one consequential golf weekend, like professional golf, left. It's the Open. That's it. It's definitely.
Don't sleep on the Olympics.
You know what? I am all for a 6-way showdown for bronze like we got last time in Japan at 3 a.m. That was the unexpected delight seeing that.
That's right.
I hit Straka first round leader.
You did.
Nagel. I remember Nagel had that.
You did. I hit Xander for the first time in forever because he never wins. I was very happy about that. So,
real quick before we move on to that, can we just? I need to ask Chris's opinion about the coverage.
Okay.
That it was atrocious. I'm not even talking about the in between shots and all that playing through bullshit. I'm used to that. I'm just desensitized to that. I just know what I'm getting. He was so bad, at calling everything against Bryson.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
I don't like him at all. And he ruined the broadcast. He really did. It was so blatant and irritating. I don't like him anyway. And it was just grating. It was literally like nails on chalkboard. I had to mute it. I muted it. And I turned it back on when I had to figure out where the ball was at or what was happening. Other than that, I muted it. I couldn't deal with it.
Well, I do like him. I feel like I'm on an island on that on Twitter. I do think he's really good on television, on live from. I know people, don't love the Saudi takes, which is fine. I understand that. But I think when he actually has a take and he backs it up with numbers and facts, he's really good and he presents it. And he's a great television guy. And I tweeted I was excited to hear him because he has called, I think it's during the Open Championship when they're switching crews. He and Lerner call an hour. And I thought he was always good on that. He was not good on Sunday. He was really bad on Sunday. The Bryson bias was not even trying to hide it and not to no. and then just they all were, and they always do this with Rory. It wasn't new this week. They're always every time they're if he can just make 3 more in a row, maybe he's got a chance. It's it reminds me of when Troy Aikman is calling a Cowboys game and they're down by 3 touchdowns. He's if they score and get an onside kick, it's it's so obvious. Yeah. And he just was not trying to hide it. And he was also, I hate to admit, just flat out wrong a few times. He was Bryson, it would be a shock if he got this to 20 feet. And then he put it to 5 feet. And that's not unique to him either. Colt knows he's the king of that. This is so much harder than it looks. And then the guy hits it to tap in and you want to reach through the TV and choke him out. So I agree. He was pretty bad. And NBC, I feel when Rory started to take the lead, they started while we're away, here's the other guy that's
how crazy was that
chance to win here earlier.
While we're away, they cut away from Bryson.
Yeah, it was bad.
What is happening?
unfortunately,
the Rory love is initially why I bucked so much, and I was not a Rory guy because I couldn't deal with the fucking ball washing every weekend. It drove me nuts.
Same here.
And so I hated Rory for a very long time, and then I finally came around probably the last 2 years because I hate Monahan more, and I feel like he screwed McIlroy. So yeah, it was definitely a pain to watch. But yeah, the coverage was just so biased. It was crazy. Like it really stuck out to me. Like, man, like come on, man. Like I mean, you hear about like the no cheering in the press box. Where it's like, geez, no, forget about that here. Like no, that didn't exist.
That was tough.
Yeah, I'm typically a Brandel guy too, unlike my co-host here, because he's as close to Johnny Miller, I feel like, as we can get, as far as like just even if his takes are horribly wrong, I don't care if he's just a curmudgeon salty. But it's good to have it's good to have a villain out there. But 100%. the Bryson bias, like even I was rolling my eyes, and it takes a lot for me to. Well, it doesn't take a lot for me to roll my eyes, but there was a couple times they were talking about Bryson, and then I think it was talking about, well, it was his decision to go, and he didn't fracture the game. It's like, come on, man. Like we know your takes, but
the saltiness doesn't bother me. It's typically anyone who gets on like a high horse and like tries to have any type of moral high ground, I just immediately don't like.
No, but if you ask me, I was Brandel was not the thing I was most annoyed at. It was the Peacock having to pay for a full commercial load. That so
I thought I was very excited because I went to go log in and I realized, I had already paid for it. So now I was able to cancel the subscription because I've been paying for it since the fucking open. So
that's how they got you.
Yeah, they got you.
They got you. No, they got my quarterly payment. So they'll have it through the open and they'll cancel and they'll probably have to shell out for the 2 bullshit NFL games that they're going to be having down later. So, all right, why don't we get to the Travelers? And before we get to our picks, let's go over the top guys who've been bet.
Oh yeah, let's do
this
that.
week. So courtesy of Golf Tips Checker. If you are new to listening to the show, this is a chart that they put out on Twitter that shows basically who's the most popular picked. And CP and Boston Capper, they will take turns trying to guess who the most popular guys bet this week. 3 strikes, you're out. Prize is just for pride. So, all right, let's go with our special guest, Christopher Powers. Who do you think? There's 7 guys on the list this week. Who do you think is one of them?
Russell Henley.
Russell Henley is not on the list.
Oh.
I think people are overthinking this one, saying he never wins. He always screws me.
Well, he doesn't win.
Well, he doesn't. You're right. You're right. But not on the list. So that is strike 1. I was surprised at that too. So
that is surprising.
Yeah. All right, Boston Capper, your turn.
Morikawa.
That's a bad guess. He's not on the
Why?
list. He's
Everybody
terrible.
Likes
He's terrible here. For whatever reason, he's terrible here. So, all right,
2 quick strikes.
That's strike 1 for you. All right, Christopher Powers, go back to you.
All right, I'll go easy. I would imagine Ludwig Aubert is on the list.
Ludwig Aubert is number 7 on the list. So there you go.
Right.
You got that right. All right, Capper, back to you.
Brian Harmon.
Brian Harmon, number 2, Mr. T.
Let's go.
Highlands himself. Bunch of top 10s, probably one of the most chalky positional bets probably to make this week too.
I already made the fucking positional bet. That's why I knew. That's why I knew it was chalky. I was looking at the tournament history. And I was like, fuck it.
There you go. All right, you guys are starting to heat up. You got 5 left. CP, back to you.
I'm going to go just based off of I'm working on up our gambling post right now. I've seen some tweets. I think Tom Kim's going to be on the list.
Good one.
Tom Kim, number 3 on the list. Okay, you guys are really heating up here. You got 4 more to go here. Capper, back to you.
I'll go with his Korean brethren and go with Siwoo.
Siwoo, Mr. Pete Dye golf course himself, not on the list.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Strike 2 for you.
All right.
CP, let's get it rolling again.
Cantlay,
number 1 most tipped.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I think his odds were too short to be number 1.
Right, me too.
Oh, no. I mean, he's got a 2 in front of him. You got him playing well at the U.S. Open. Apparently went back to old clubs and old drivers and old coach and everything like that. Yeah. he's definitely going to be very popular this week. All right. You have 3 more guys, 4, 5, and 6. So Capper, what are you picking?
Between 2 guys. I'll go another fucking loser. I'll go Danny McCarthy.
Danny McCarthy, not on the list.
No,
you are out. That's strike 3 for you.
I stink at this fucking.
You are not.
I lose every week.
All right, CP. You got 3 more on the list. Can you take a guess?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I'll say Xander.
Xander's not on the list. That's
not on the
list for
list.
you.
Too short. All
right, you got one more try before you're out.
Well, again, I'm basing this off of some stuff I've seen. Sepp Straka.
Sepp Straka, number 6 on the list. Continuing his popularity. All right, 2 more. Can we?
2 more.
We've never been able to complete the list. So you got 2 more.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Mostly because my co-host is terrible at this game.
I mean, I got to imagine Keegan Bradley's on there.
Strike 3. He's not on there. All right. So the last 2 guys. Corey Connors.
That's what I was going to go with instead of fucking Danny McCarthy, another loser.
Yep. I mean, accurate, good ball striker, good from under 150. We're not in San Antonio, though, so I don't know how he can win.
Exactly.
So he's number 4. And Tony Finau. Number 5. Yeah. I'm surprised.
Okay, I'm still betting him. That's a good number.
28-1, coming off a good U.S. Open.
That does make sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. One was at the top of the board. So let me just start off. I have a nagging feeling that after it seemed, I don't know if everyone's just out on him, but after a terrible performance at the U.S. Open where people just thought he was going to steamroll by 5, this seems like just the perfect spot for Scotty just taking away money again. And the fact that he's won Harbor Town, Sawgrass a couple times, like Travelers is definitely in play. So, CP, are you tempted to just single bullet Scotty this week, or is that just not your style?
Not my style, but I think you make a strong case. And to be honest with you, I was waiting on this Florida Panthers bet to pay out, and I was going to start doing a bunch of 7-leg parlays, probably with Scotty and Cantlay and Hovland. So I could get into that if Florida decides to come back in this one. But no, not my style.
Pretty.
I mean, it was my style a few weeks ago with Nelly Corda, who made a 11, I think, on that par 3.
So you were the one who killed it.
Correct. So I don't think that's going to be my style ever again.
Well, CP, you know Pete. You met Pete, and he bet Nelly Corda, and I was like, "Look what you did! Look what you did! You're starting to bet golf, and now you bet her, and you murdered her."
Like a cat betting like a casual, unfortunately.
Yep. So I mean, Scotty's not my style to single bullet either. Capper, you almost dabbled with that last week. I'm glad you did.
I know, but then I didn't because I can't. I can never do it. Like I did it with Rom, and that's it. Did I ever single bullet anybody else? It was just Rom, right?
I don't think so.
I can't think of another single bullet.
I think I think that was just one and done for you. The 2021 US Open.
You do it once, you'll never do it again.
No.
Yeah. It was because it was so obvious he was winning.
No, Besides, I've had a bad track record single bowling Scotty. I've only done it twice, and it wasn't this year. It was at the 2022 Tour Championship where he was up by 6 in the staggered, and he was up by 6 heading into the final round. Yeah. And this is when he started having those putting woes. I was at the driving range, and my co-host just starts texting me down to 5. And finally, I just texted him, I'm like, can you just text me good news at this point? And it just went silent for a while. So I just, and I looked at my phone. Yeah, he blew it. And then it was last year at the BMW when he was up, I think, 3 with like 5 to go. And Hovland just went absolutely nuclear in the back 9. So single bowling Scotty's not my style. I can never do it again. I just apparently, as I mentioned, I like betting guys who finish in second. So I'm assuming the 3 guys I bet this week are probably going to finish in second. So, but we got some other really good names. You got Xander, you got Morikawa, Ludwig, who's popular, Hovland, Cantlay. CB, did you bet any of those guys this week?
No, I said Cantlay right away on our podcast. I have not put my picks in on our Golf Digest gambling post quite yet. But based off of what you said before, you said he was number 1 tipped.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
That does scare me a little bit. And also, like he what was the story with him last week? He actually hit the ball like shit and somehow still ended up finishing second or third of whatever he finished. So I don't know. You're kind of scaring me off. I made the one bet we'll get to a little bit further down the board. And now a name I haven't seen is kind of starting to intrigue me up top here. But no Cantlay, no Xander.
Who's intriguing you up top?
Thigala, and I know that's just based off of he finished second here a couple of years ago. But played okay at the U.S. Open. And by okay, I mean I saw that one chip shot. I have no idea what else he did. I know he tied.
The fact he made the cut was
exactly. Yeah. He tied for 32nd. I was on him a few weeks ago. I think a bunch of people were on him. I forget where, and he shot like 8-0. I think he missed the cut.
I was on that week too.
So maybe people are off the scent. He's 33-1. He's got to win this year. He's had a couple other decent finishes. So that might ultimately be my pick at the top of the board here.
Okay. All right. Well, I bet Thigala.
Oh, let's go.
So I texted my co-host last night about it, and maybe I'm just in mourning about Rory. I'm not thinking straight, but I was really impressed with how Thigala started out 8 over through like 6 holes, and he went 1 under the rest of the tournament. Like he could have just mailed it in and missed the cut, moved on, and the kid just grinded and made the cut, treaded water, and put a respectable finish together. And you just mentioned the second place finish. And even though this is, a positional golf course with accuracy, like Thigala has inexplicably at some of these other positional like golf courses that value accuracy, that wouldn't seem to fit a sprayer. Like like Sawgrass or Sea Island. Or, I think this, did he finish, top 10 at Bay Hill this year too? So I think, a couple of those types of golf courses where you wouldn't expect Thigala to rise to the occasion. Apparently he just tightens up off the tee. And, he's won on a bent POA surface before at Silverado. Obviously the second place finish here. So I was really impressed by him just grinding it out last week. And he was so popular he was so popular last week, and he didn't come through for everybody. So I think maybe I'll go for
get a little flop lag maybe with the Sahith.
Yeah, I'll go for him. Capper, you want to join the two of us on that?
Yeah, I'm definitely joining you. So here's the deal, guys. I've made 2 bets. That's it, because so I had a long weekend. My daughter came back to town, and then my brother-in-law, who is also my ex-Navy drinking buddy, came into town, and I stayed up insanely late on Sunday and Monday, and I literally had to tap out of work today. I went home and I had to take a nap. Like that's how old I am. I was like, I cannot stay up late drinking like this. So I am fresh for ideas on how to spend my money this weekend. I've only made 2, so I think I'm going to join you on Saturday. I was going to ask you guys about 2 different things on the top of the board. I'm not going to bet them, but did you guys see the Ludwig baseball shot when he was in the bunker?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
Choke up to here.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah. I liked Akshay's response to that, saying that he looked like him, basically.
And then what about Decky?
So Hideki, I'm only doing positional.
Okay.
I don't see him winning a Travelers here.
Yeah.
But I like his form coming in. Obviously, really good with the short irons. Great iron player. Not as accurate off the tee as I would like, but this can be kind of a weird golf course where using different clubs off the tee sometimes. Putting well lately, which is kind of scary. It seems like he might go crash back down to earth at some point. But
that's true.
I have to grab him for a top 10 at like plus 225.
That's fine. All right.
I went with that. How do you feel about him, CP?
Only played here once. That was last year. Top 20'd. Like you said, form's good. I don't know. It's just Hideki's. He's hard to read. Very hard to read. You never. I mean, I liked him last week. I didn't bet it, of course.
He was super popular last week. I didn't bet
super popular. I thought. I'm reading our Golf Digest post right now. I think Keith Stewart made a pretty decent point. He's an elite short game player, and you kind of don't really need that here, or you can't separate yourself with it here. So, positional. Agree. Top 20. The form's so good right now, but no, I'm not betting him to win.
Okay. All right. Capper. So you said you bet 2 guys. already. Are they in this range? Guys, you bet?
The next range they are, yeah.
All right.
And
okay. All right. Well, let's talk about some other guys down here. So, obviously we got Russell Henley, who is in this range. Apparently, somehow is not popular, despite this.
Because he's a loser.
I guess so.
He is a loser. You got Corey Connors, who's on the list, Brian Harmon, Tom Kim. I guess, CP, anybody you bet like between like 30 and 61, some of those guys? Maybe talk about why you like them.
I did not bet anyone.
Okay.
When there's 5 and higher next to Spieth, my eyes perk up a little bit, but I don't know if you can touch that guy with a 10-foot pole right now.
He's broken.
Totally broken. Ben On down here is 75. People have been all over this guy this year at way, way shorter numbers. But haven't bet it yet. That does seem a little intriguing. Homa all the way down here at 70 off a, shitty performance. But like you said, I don't have anybody in this range for now. But if you were asking me if I was interested, Homa and Ben On at those numbers, I think I could get behind.
Okay. All right. I bet one other guy in this range. I bet Burns at 40. And
another guy who was 6 over through a couple holes last week.
Yeah, and he ended up finishing in the top 10. This was, I think, his first top 10 in a major.
Yep.
And, driving the ball really good. You think of Burns as kind of a sprayer all over the place, but he's actually gained a lot of fairways lately. Tends to do a lot of his damage on some of these shorter courses, a lot of shorter irons. I know he didn't hit his irons very good last week, but that was a lot of longer irons. Tends to be one pretty good from under 150. Some of these comp courses that guys do well at River Highlands that, like Innisbrook and TPC Southwind, TPC Scottsdale, Burns has done pretty well at those golf courses. So, even though he's kind of a bomber, he tends to do pretty well at some of these shorter positional tracks. And I think he's got like a top 15 finish last year. I think the year before that, playing well right now. Won a lot of, I know he can win some winning the PGA Tour. So I bet him at 40 to 1. And then I got my eyes on a couple other guys in this range, or I might just end up just betting Ludwig and just call it a day. So
you can do that too.
Yeah. All right, Capper, why don't we go back to you? Who have you bet so far?
So I did the positional on Harmon. I did a top 10 on Harmon, and that was I think it was 5 to 1. Which whatever. It's Hard Rock. I have no choice. I live in Florida. And I bet Finau. I know he's got a shitty course history here, but that's a really good number. And he played really well over the weekend. If it wasn't for a triple, he would have been right in it. Played great at the Memorial. He's been playing well since the PGA. To get a 3 in front of his number, I know you were on him last week, Steve, and I think that's probably made me pay a little more attention to him because I was like, why the fuck? I get the number was right, but yeah. I saw a lot of the coverage. I think the number's right. I know his course history is not great, but yeah, I think he's right there, and he's due to win a big boy event. Right? We always shit on him for not winning big boy events. He seemed like he had the right focus this past weekend, so hopefully he can carry it into Connecticut and he can bring it home. 35 to 1 is a great number for Tony.
Yeah, listen, I'm painfully aware that if he didn't triple number 13, he actually would have won the tournament and cash is 70 to 1 for me. I am very aware of that fact, and maybe that's why I'm not on this week. CP, what do you think about Finau this week? Any interest?
No interest. I do feel bad. That was one I certainly thought about last Wednesday night. One of my lying in bed, man, this guy at this number, that's pretty crazy. I was at my sister's wedding Saturday, so I didn't see the triple. I apologize for that. I don't know how it happened. I know Ludwig also tripled the same hole apparently.
Yeah, it was the same way. They basically ping-ponged back and forth.
Oh, geez.
So they both left their wedge. They spun it off the green. Then they went over the green to the bunker.
Which hole was it?
The 13.
Okay.
The short, and then they went, and then out of the bunker, they went over the green again. Yeah, it was quite painful. And also, I had a Ludwig top 10, and that was
my God.
It could have been a massive weekend for me.
I know how you're feeling right now. It's just you're right there.
It was right there. And I had Morikawa Memorial too the week before, and that just snatched my soul there. it's been rough. You know, you say you're due.
Steve's had a run of very, very close calls and painful calls.
Well, we're
and
also
he usually does this. He does it frequently, but this year it's at like an alarm.
I was on Burns at Amex when he lost to the amateur. I was on Keegan at Sony. I was on Ludwig at Pebble Beach, and then Mother Nature canceled the fucking tournament. It's been pretty rough, but we're coming to the 1 year anniversary to what was the number one on my pain rankings with the Rocket Mortgage last year, but now Rory's number one now. It's supplanting him. So.
Was that Ricky last year?
That's just because we were stubborn.
Yeah, so everybody had Ricky. It was the most chocolate. I had Colin and Hadwin. I had both of them.
Sorry for laughing.
And that was right before I took a hiatus from the show because I had a kid right after that. So I was thinking, all right, I'm gonna get it outright before I go on a break. It's gonna be great. And then I had to sit for a month just thinking about it, just on the sidelines.
Because we refused to play Ricky Chalk. I was like, I'm not buying this fucking narrative.
Well, that was the worst part, that I had the two other guys in the playoff, but everybody else hit Chalk Ricky.
Yeah.
Ugh, terrible. Can't wait to talk about that next week. Break down the 18th hole, how much bullshit that was. TIO, get the fuck out of here. All right, let's talk about some longer shots. CP, a couple of interesting names. Former winner Harris English here. You talk about Ben on already. Wyndham Clark is down here at like 70, 80 to 1.
Yeah. What about Wyndham? Anybody like Wyndham?
No.
No? Just because he's not in good form?
It's just the iron game is just not there right now, right? I don't know how he.
No.
So I mean, think of it this way, right? So look at Tony was at 70 to 1 last week, right?
Yeah.
Clark's obviously got a winning pedigree. He does not deserve to be the same odds as Adam Scott, who hasn't won in fucking 5-6 years.
Fair.
So, and Cameron Young, who will never win on the PGA Tour at fucking 80 to 1. So
unfortunately, agree with that. Unfortunately.
So like that number to me jumps out. And look, I've been doing this. I've been banging my head against the wall all fucking year with Wyndham Clark. So by no means, no one should listen to me. Like I just see the number and I'm like, well, I'm gonna fucking bet it. Like I don't think this is right. He ripped my heart out at the Players. Yeah. So Cam's on him. That's a good sign for me. So Wyndham Clark at that number is just disrespectful, and I would do that just out of golf's weird, man. And all of a sudden, if he finds it, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, the U.S. Open winner won an elevated event at 70."
That's how he won at Pebble too, wasn't he? Like 70 or something like that.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, they shot 61, and then the storm came in. Yes. So, but I mean, with Clark though, we wouldn't think that Sawgrass was probably a good golf course for Clark, and he should have won. That was another one I was on. I was on Clark, Xander, and Harmon. Oh, yeah, that's been the year I've had. It's been pretty good. So, what's that?
What kind of beer are you drinking?
Miller High Life. What kind of
beer are you drinking?
Ooh, okay.
Oh, the champagne of beer.
Champagne of beer.
It's actually that's a solid like domestic.
It's the best. Like you want to have like 5 really quickly. It's the best.
I agree. I like it.
I didn't bet him, but I thought about it. JT Poston's playing all right lately. And this is kind of so he's missed the cut in like 5 or 6 events, but the one time he actually made the cut, he finished T2. That was kind of his heater. He's hitting his irons a little better lately. Decent from under 150. Good putter. He's accurate. I don't know. He finished 5th at Harbor Town in elevated events. So he can kind of get relevant in the mix of some of these things.
Got some long-term form, and he had a really good year last year, right?
Yeah. This I think was about when he started getting on a little bit of a heater in the summer. He tends to get kind of hot around this time of year. So I don't hate that. Let's see. Is Will Zalatoris just broken?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
He's never winning.
He's never
winning.
Him
and Cam Young would never win. Like everybody thought they were going to be the next fucking thing, and these guys just haven't done it. What do we say? Davis Riley's won fucking twice. and Will Z's got 1 win. And
the Zurich doesn't count, right?
No, I don't count it, but
that doesn't count.
Fine. Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Anybody who ever references the Zurich in like their handicap,
it's just a fun way to poke fun at Cam Young.
It is.
That is true. What about Pavon? Are we just sleeping on him? Come off a good U.S. Open? Or do you think he just crashes back down to earth?
Well, whoever just made this comment, Pavon and Akshay. Akshay was my first bet Monday morning. He was 90 to 1. I see he's down to 70, so I've already won the bet. Closing line value, as they say. Back-to-back top 25s. I know after Valero, he kind of went into a little bit of a rut, maybe post-victory rut. But he's kind of quietly come back to form here. Gained a lot of strokes around the green last week. But I think this is a good course fit for him. And obviously, I love the number Monday morning and love it even more now. So Akshay for sure. Pavon, yeah, that's certainly interesting.
I like Pavon. Steve and me got into an argument about Pavon at the Masters. I was like, he's fucking long. He's like, no, he's not. And then he outdrove Bryson. I was like, I told you he was fucking long.
Yeah, you put me in my place there. Yeah. A couple other names. How about almost won the RBC Canadian Open, Ben Griffin, playing well right now. Decent short arm player, good putter. You know, I mean, maybe everybody's just kind of hung over a little bit from the U.S. Open, sneaks out an unexpected win.
No, that's a good point.
Seamus Power.
Yes, let's go. Right. 200 to 1, Seamus. All day.
I remember last Thursday morning he was cooking. I don't know what happened to him, but I
was so excited.
He's accurate, good short iron player.
What do you think? You think I've bet him every other week this year, Steve?
Howard?
I think so. I mean, he's from the good Ireland.
Positionals as well, because I know he's not actually winning. But I mean, even the top 10s, I was cashing like fucking 6 to 1, 7 to 1s. Top 20s rather.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's great.
Although you're still bitter about Keith Mitchell sabotaging Seamus at
he did. Keith Mitchell put the stink on him. yeah, put the stink on him.
Yeah, did he put the stink on Mackenzie Hughes, who we were both on too? We hit it in the water.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great,
motherfucker. I'm done. Like, I don't know why I started betting Mackenzie Hughes. I'll never put a dime on that fucking limp dick asshole ever again.
Okay.
Fuck him. He's the worst.
All right. Another name down here making I don't know if it's his pro debut, but he's played well here before. Michael Torbjornsson. You know, the really talented young kid. Yeah. Do you think he maybe what did he finish? Like top 10 here, I think, a couple of years ago?
Why not? I mean, based off these odds, I'm sure top 40 is although it's smaller field.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll give top 30s this week. I haven't dove too deep into that. But yeah, I like a positional play on him.
Okay. Yeah, DraftKings I know is doing top 30s.
They are. Okay.
That was the only one I've seen. But yeah, you know what? Maybe 30. Because like 20 is a little ambitious for this field. 40, you're paying juice. 30, maybe that's just right.
What about my boy can never win? Even though what's his name? Michael, who's the Tirico? He had to correct himself. He was talking about Thomas Dietrich, and he's like, he hasn't won on the US PGA Tour, but he's definitely won on the Euro. And I had to stop. It was like 15 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
The Euro Challenge Tour. I was like, there you go, Mike. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, producer definitely got in his ear on that one.
Yeah.
Shut up! Don't say anything. I
feel like I've said that on shows. I corrected myself recently. Like, who am I confusing him with? I thought he was like a multi. It's not Peters. It's somebody else it's like that has multiple European Tour wins. But I thought it was Dietrich.
I mean, you would think a guy who graduated essentially, you know, from the DP World Tour would actually have a bunch of wins, and somehow he hasn't.
You would think.
You would think. That's Thomas.
He's played well at all the majors. I don't know if he could do it in a birdie fest, but I'm willing to dip on a top 20 at probably fucking 5 to 6 to 1 because he's not going to win. We know that.
It is a crazy number coming off that performance.
All right. Anybody else down here triple digits that are interesting you?
But Jaeger's not getting any love.
The Scotty Slayer, they're calling
Scotty Slayer, exactly.
Yeah.
He went low. He went low to beat Scotty. Like, he can go low.
It was 12 under.
That's low.
That's low.
It is pretty funny that Webb Simpson is way better odds than like Jake Knapp.
How is Webb still getting into it?
That's what I mean. He's getting gifts into these field, and Jake Knapp is like almost double the price of him. It's a little ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Webb Simpson. Unbelievable.
So
is he on the players committee or something?
That's the only reason why.
Yep.
That makes sense.
All right.
Makes sense on how this ridiculous league works. So stupid.
Mm-hmm. All right, don't worry. We'll talk about the real league after the show. Our live show.
Brendan Todd feels like a $2 bet if you're feeling.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
I know. Is he scarred from the COVID travelers? DJ snatching his soul.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yes.
Wow, great memory.
They had the rain delay.
Yep.
And then I think he blew it at that one.
I love it even more now. He was playing well that week.
There you go.
What about Hoagie? It's going to be 150 and in.
Yeah, it's true. He's burned me too many times.
Yeah,
For whatever reason,
good.
For whatever reason, he sucks here too. I don't know why.
He does. I just looked at that. I was like, oh my God.
You know what? Maybe it's because I think Mohegan's son's pretty close to there.
Oh, that's right. That's 100% right.
Yep.
He's doing rails and playing blackjack all fucking night.
Yeah. I actually I got one of our stockpiles is near Mohegan's son. So every time we go down there, we always go over the sun. It's a good time. I can see why he sucks here because it's
heard great
very
things
good
about
casino.
that play.
Yeah, Mohegan's a good spot.
That's a good. It should be a good.
I like
spot
Foxwood better.
Yeah, I mean, so should Colonial, but that's his hometown, and he probably gets into the underground blackjack games, and that's why he never can do well there. So. All right. I don't have anything else. Capper, any other names, or do you want to close the show out? Okay,
I'm good.
All right. Well, CP, thank you for joining us on the show. Good to finally meet you. Why don't you give a couple plugs? Where can we find you nowadays?
Golfdigest.com, basically every day. The Loop podcast, usually on Tuesdays. The gambling column will go live probably within the hour.
Did you say you hadn't put your picks in yet?
No, I got to do that. This is what happens when people who shall remain nameless send their picks in at 9 p.m. on Tuesday night. Love them all. I have a feeling I know. Love their work. Actually, some guys got in early today, so that was nice. And then, I'm killing it on Twitter.
Yep. My man made the post, Steve. He was in the New York Post. I texted him like a month ago. I was like, he made the post.
Congratulations.
As a former New York Daily News writer, it was quite funny to make the New York Post.
I started reading the Post probably 2 or 3 years ago. I have no idea why. It is just such a fun rag to read. Like some of that shit, it just cracks me. It's
a great rag.
Like that, yeah, it's a good rag.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us, Capper. You got anything else?
No, that's it. Me and Steve take a quick break. I'll take my dogs out, and then we'll talk about Live. We're in Nashville this week. Is that correct?
Yeah. Really exciting golf course. We're gonna
I'm super excited. I mean, I was excited to talk about the Travelers. Now I'm really excited to talk about fucking Live.
You could give me like 20 guesses. I don't know what course they're playing.
They're playing the Grove, which I actually heard some people confuse this golf course for the one down in West Palm, the Grove 23. It's definitely not. It's definitely not that.
Those are the places Live should be going. Places people want to get a look at.
Yeah. But
I shit on Monahan, but my God, has Liv fumbled the bag on so many opportunities that they could fucking do good shit with, and they can't. They just step on their dick and they cannot get out of their own way. It is amazing. An organization that has unlimited funds can't figure out basic shit. It is insanity.
I think that's my cue to go.
There you go.
Oh, that's right.
Thanks.
Live boss fucking hates CP.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they don't even know I'm playing them like a fucking string.
That's it. No clue.
Appreciate you, boys. Thank you for having me. Good
Thanks,
to Steve.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
All right. So, we'll be back in about a half hour. We'll be good. Light.